everyone, welcome to the Kill Count. My name is Big Large, and today we're covering the Hunger Games series. Returning to direct is Francis Lawrence, the director of the original movies. You can tell how much love and care he has for the series as he accurately brings Suzanne Collins' beloved classic to life. I'll talk more about them later on. We're starting with the prequel, The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. This takes place about 64 years before the events of the main movie, and it follows the metamorphosis of a young President Snow from a witty, likable underdog to the devil we know. This was my introduction to the Hunger Games series, and I thought it would be fitting if we start the story here too. Before the glamour and glitz, the Hunger Games were amateur and unpopular. Not only is our main character Coriolanus Snow tasked with making the games more enjoyable, he has to make sure his tribute wins them. The tribute in question, the talented and charismatic Lucy Gray, makes it easy for him to do both. But still, strong opponents inside and outside the game stand in his way to victory. Let's see if the odds are in his favor and get to the kills. I'm making kill counts on the entire series, so subscribe to make sure you get notified when they drop. The movie opens up with some text announcing that this scene takes place 3 years before the first Hunger Games. Two kids run and find some food, but they're challenged by some mutt. The girl scares it off and they scatter. The youths run behind a corner and witness a man chopping off someone's leg and devour it. When the boy asks what he's doing, his companion says he's starving. When they get home, they see Gran talking to the Popo, and she informs the boy, Corey, that his dad got killed by a rebel in District 12. That leads us into part 1. Coriolanus gets ready for school and notices one of the bathroom tiles missing. He looks for his father's shirt just as his cousin gives it to him in a better shape than how he found it. She bleached it and he even added buttons made from the bathroom tiles. Tigress urges him to eat some before he leaves, but he says save his portion for their grandman. As he gets ready, his folks gas him up, saying he could be the next president of Pan Am. He's hopeful to win the coveted plinth prize and says his family's motto, Snow lands on top. When he gets to school, he's greeted by his class partner, Clemencia. When she asks why he's sweating, he lies and says that his chauffeur got the day off. He tells another one when he says his chef made him steak for breakfast. When he meets with his other classmate, one of them makes fun of his shirt and he joins in on the mockery. They see the son of the man the prize is named after and berate him behind his back for being born from the districts. When Corey tries jumping in, they call him out for being his homeboy. He distances himself from him, saying that he doesn't fuck with him, he tolerates him. Mid-bashing the man himself, Sir Janus shows up. The ginger girl, Arachne, asks who's getting the prize, but he doesn't give an answer. He says that people don't really like his dad, just his money, and says that she could probably relate. When Serge sits down with Corey, he informs him that there isn't going to be a prize this year. Dr. Volumnia Gall, a mad scientist, introduces herself as the new game maker and says she's here to examine the students, then hands it off to their dean and the creator of the Hunger Games, Casca Highbottom. A little person named Highbottom is some Kojima, J.K. Rowling level of naming, yeah. It's the 10th annual reaping for the Hunger Games. You see, there's this big revolution between the people in the districts and the capital. The revolt was squashed pretty quickly, so as a punishment and a reminder of who's boss, every year they take 2 kids of 2 sexes from each district and make them fight to the death for everyone to see. Because of its barbaric and horrific nature, people don't want to watch it, which is a problem because they can't do it if no one watches. So this year, the plinth prize will go to whoever can be the best mentor in the games. Arachne complains about the possibility of someone getting a shitty district like 8 or 12. The districts in this series are numbered from proximity to the capital. The closer they are, the better resources they have. So someone from District 1 is going to be a better tribute than someone from District 12. Highbottom tells her that they don't have to win, they just have to make it interesting. One last thing he adds is that cheaters will be punished harshly. HB reads out who's getting what tribute, and I just want you to hear how fucking ridiculous these names sound.
Demetia Wimswick, Festus Creed, Lipsanius Sickle.
Hilarious heavens be.
Since this takes place in the future, it's supposed to be like watered down versions of modern names we have, like how Saint Jacob turned into Santiago. Examples would be Peta coming from Peter and Finnick coming from Finnegan. Anyways, Corio ends up getting that runt girl from 12 they were afraid of. We're taken to the reaping of District 12, where we see Lucy Gray Baird get picked and a girl in a blue dress try not to laugh. When she gets near, Lucy puts a snake in her dress. When she walks on stage, her father decks her punk ass. While she's down, her found family starts a song and she finishes it. In this song, they sing about how they, the capital, can't take the things that make them them, like their history, past, their humor, and their sass, and that anything they can take wasn't worth keeping. And at the end, she shouts, "You can kiss my ass!" and sarcastically bows. Where everyone else sees an unstable misfit, doomed to fail, Coriolanus sees a star. After the assembly, Highbottom catches up to our MC and mentions his late father. He asks what the plan is, if he doesn't get the prize, and Corey says he's just gonna pay for the uni he wants to go to. Big Bottom laughs at him and says he know damn well his broke ass ain't paying for shit. But with that DIY shirt and them shoes 2 sizes too small, everybody can see how wealthy he really is. Later that night, homeboy rants to his big cuz about how she built like a twig, so he'll just get her to sing more and win over the crowd. Tigress tells him that if it were her, she wouldn't want a single word for them capital C words, unless he manages to gain her trust and show that he cared. After all, they're like one bad day away from being just as impoverished. The next morning, he greets her with a rose. She takes a petal and eats it? He's not supposed to be there, but he shows up to tell her that he'll take care of her. While a tribute tries escaping, he sneaks onto their little transport truck. The district dudes hold on to him by his shirt, and they all agree to kill him. Lucy Gray nonchalantly reasons with him, saying that since he's her mentor, their families are going to get killed if they even hurt him. Corey adds that everyone gets a mentor, and he's just here to help. For some reason, one of them, Coral, doesn't believe them and is still aggro against them. Somehow the truck flips over and they're all dumped into the holding cell. On the outside, the pregame show is covered by Lucretius Lucky Flickerman. He notices a student in the zoo and asks what the heck he's doing there. They walk up to the bars holding hands and talk to the kids on the outside. An unusual sight. Lucy turns her gaze to Lucky, and he gets offended when she doesn't know who he is. He asks more about her, and she informs him that she's not actually from 12. She's part of a traveling musical tribe called the Covey. The Peacekeepers, they're law enforcement, rounded them up and kept them in there. He compliments the dress her mama gave her, and he asks if she's in 12 with the Covey. She makes him laugh when he tells him that just her bones are. She shouts out her mentor and calls him sweet for coming to see her early. Flickerbean asks if the game makers told him to do this, and he says that he took it upon himself to give her a warm welcome. Before the Peacekeepers take him away, she requests some food. Y'all both hungry, girl. Don't hold your breath. When he bursts into class later, everyone talks about his little stunt. Highbottom says he'll get the game maker to disqualify him, and Arachne berates him for holding hands with an animal. Serjanus speaks up and says that all he did was humanize a human. Serge's anti-Hunger Game rant is interrupted by Dr. Gall, homegirl with a new do, gasses up Snow for his performance at the zoo. She asks him what the games are for, and he says, it's punishment for the upright. She interrupts, punishment for that? No! If we want a punishment, we will bomb they bitch ass, starve they bitch ass, execute them. So why do we make them do the games? Serjanus yells at her, saying how cruel and unnecessary they are. She tells him talk like that will only get him a bad grade. Powerbottom says that none of these students are going to get good grades anyway, so you might as well cancel the games. Corio speaks up and says he actually agrees with his chum, but in a way that like misses his whole point. He says that yeah, they're people just like us, and we should treat them like the kids want to know more about Lucy Gray, so let the world know about him. Gall asks why anybody would want to watch it if they care about the tribute. He says that they'll have hope in them. The idea interests her, so she tells him to write an essay on this. Clemmy pops up and says that since they're class partners, they'll do it together. At lunch, Serge every time I say Serge, it reminds me of System of a Down. Shame on a nigga who tries to run game on a nigga. Anyways, Serge catches him trying to sneak food for Big L and calls him out for cheating. He says that if he doesn't feed his tribute, he won't have a chance. Serjanus tells him that the kid was his classmate in District 2. His dad paid for him to do it to show that he can never go back there. Corey tells him to do something about it if he's so distraught. When they head over there with the food, Marcus refuses it, but LG does not hesitate to get some grub. She shares with her reluctant male tribute from 12. Apparently on the way there, he got bit while trying to protect her from bats while she slept. He tells her he's gonna get people to sponsor their tributes so they can eat, but they need a reason, so he asks her to sing. She protests, saying that she sings when she wants to and not when she's told. After she comes, they eat together, and they share poverty stories, like when he was so hungry he ate a jar of paste. Talk about a sticky situation. Shut your fucking mouth! She tells our protag that she likes him, and how she wishes they didn't have to meet like this. While they fantasize about him going to one of her shows and dancing with her, Arachne punk ass been taunting a girl with water. Homegirl gets fed up, grabbing it out of her hand and stabbing her with it instead of helping the poor girl. The peacemakers blow the perp down. Snow went to comfort her, but she ended up dying in his arms. Later, Corey chats with the fam, and he takes blame because he encouraged everyone to get closer. He didn't encourage them to be assholes though. His grandman thought that he could be a victim too, but I don't know if Lucy liked that. Tiggy expresses sympathy for the girl, and Granny says it wasn't a girl at all. People in the capital are savages, barely even human. And if he doesn't use her, then she's gonna kill him like the rebels killed his daddy. Instead of canceling the games like a normal person would, Gall keeps them going. Right now, the class's assignment is to get to know the candidates to make them even more appealing. Some of them talk to them like they're stupid, and one of them, Reaper from District 11, tries attacking Clemmy. Lulu and Corey get to know each other better, and he shares that he's an orphan just like her. He asks her again to sing in the interviews, and she asks for a guitar. The way he's been so adamant to get her to attract sponsors, she knows he doesn't believe in her, so she tells him to be supportive in that aspect. In the middle, they get called by the Gaul. See, last night, he got to writing the proposal she asked him to do, and handed it in the morning, all while Clemencia spent all night mourning her classmate like a chump. So he gives her the SparkNotes version of it. In her Hall of Crimes Against Nature, she asks him to check out the huge jar of snakes. When Clemmy takes credit for writing the report, voluptuous gal tells her assistant threw it in the snake jar and tells her to reach and get it. She's hesitant at first, but she says the paper was covered in sweat, so the snakes are used to the smell if she did write it, and won't attack her. She reaches in and predictably gets bit, killing her instantly. When homegirl first saw the snakes, she asked about the color, which instantly activated her Gaul senses. They're colorful and flamboyant, so they're spectacle to the terror, something that was written about in the paper. She gasses up Snow's proposal and vows to enact as many as possible as soon as possible. Then asks him what's wrong, like he didn't just watch his homegirl die in front of him. She basically basically says you gotta break a few eggs to make a monstrosity, and tells him not to tell nobody what he saw. This is classic grooming, yo, telling him to keep secrets between them. Later, while they're previewing the arena with their tribute, the place gets fucking bombed! I can't tell from the footage, but in the book, it says 4 people died from this attack. Snow tries running away, but he's pinned down by some beam. Lucy Gray tries helping him, but Marcus tells her not to, saying he won't do that for her. Him and 2 others make a run for the blown open gate, but they're shot down. Lucy Gray lifts the rebar off, then is whisked away by peacekeepers. Man, for people named peacekeepers, they sure are violent. Like, their job is to keep people safe, and all they do is harm. When he wakes up, next to friends and family, the first thing he asks is about LG's safety. They informed him that the rebels bombed the games to destroy the symbol of them, and now everybody's afraid to leave their house. Surge tells him Marcus escaped, but they're still looking for him. Snow points out that the Covey kid could have turned tail, but she saved his sorry ass, and is appalled when he learns that the games are still going on. A familiar face appears on the screen, and the songbird sings about how her man in 12 cheated on her, and how he'll have to face the music eventually. She breaks sponsorship records, and people even cry at the song. At night, Corey returns to the rubble and scouts some places for his little fine shit to hide. Then he takes some rat poison and puts it in a little mirror. He sneaks off to the zoo, tells her all the things he's learned and where to hide. She thanks him for this, and he thanks her for saving him. In an amazing split diopter shot, she explains to him that she's more cheerful during the day, and he tells her that he's gonna save her and give her back to the cubby. He asked about the song, and she says it was payback. See, her man cheated on her with the mayor's daughter, so she put her name in the reaping to get Billy Tope all to herself. As a thanks for a trip to the capital, she gave her a new pet snake. He deems her as worthy to risk it all for, and gave her the rat poison. He vows that they're gonna win the games together, which leads us into part 2. The next day, Coriolanus gets to the mentor area, and Serjanus comforts him. For the designs of the building and stuff, they tried going for a more retro look since it takes place so long before the main events. When the show starts, Lucretius introduces himself as the first ever host of the Hunger Games. The tributes are marched onto their positions, and Jesus Christ! Marcus! They crucified him! Serjanus hurls his chair at the screen and calls everyone monsters before stomping out. Lucky counts down and the games begin. When they all start, hell breaks loose. We see LG looking for Jessup instead of making a run for it, and almost getting clipped. In her search, we see Coral and somebody else combo a guy, and someone else get chased down with arrows. She finds her district partner, and they make their way underground. They make it to the door like Corey told her, but they're quickly surrounded. When they get in through a doggy door, someone tries chasing them, but she's slain and dragged out. All of them are too scared to go in there, so they just fuck off. Lucky comes back on and says that 6 tributes have fallen, so I'll just add that to the count. While the man gives the weather report, Lemima, a District 7 girl, climbs up to the rubble and mercy kills Marcus. This act makes her donation numbers go up. Flickerman explains that with the donos, mentors can send repurposed drones with food and water directly to their tributes. One of them tries giving her water, but it comes in hot, and she ducks out the way before it smashes into a wall. Later that night, since Corey is the only one up watching her, HB asks what he wants. He says he just wants her to live, but Big Bottom states he's only in it for the prize. Nigga, isn't that what this whole thing is about? He tells him that he'll make sure he doesn't see a dime from the prize, and asks if he'll still GAF about his songbird. While he drifts off to sleep, he's woken by a frantic Volumnia. She blurts out that Surge snuck into the arena to pay respects to Marcus. She needs him to go in there and reason with him, and even says that she's gonna make sure that he gets the Plinth prize. She freezes the live feed and they escort him into the building. He finds Surge and implores him to escape, but the young rebel says that he's come to protest. But it's pointless, because no one's even watching, and Gaul will just cover up his death. Corio tells him that he's more useful to the cause out there as a rich smart kid than as another body in Gaul's war. They get chased to the gates by a tribute, and Sir Anus hurts his knee. In self-defense, he knocks that nigga out, then completely kills him. He was already dead. That was so unnecessary. Then they escape from Coral and her gang right in the nick of time. She says that because she didn't get him, she's gonna go after his songbird instead. Surge apologizes to Corey, then goes off to see his mom. He visits Dr. Gaul, all shocked and appalled. She did it for the laws, just to see Snow fall. Homegirl gleefully talks about his first kill and dresses his wound. She tells him what happened in there was pure instinct. Humans will do anything to survive, no matter how barbaric. He excuses the tributes, saying it's just what they gotta do, to which she replies, I meant you! When everything that made him better than the tributes was taken from him, leaving him with just his fear and a weapon, he used it to kill someone else. She instills in him the idea that without control, humans are wild and unpredictable. What she's saying is very similar to Duvall's veneer theory, one that suggests our civilization is just a thin veneer, and if we get rid of it, humans will lead short, violent, primitive lives. The second thing she tells him is a Hobbesian idea that states that humans need a ruler, and without it, they're violent and chaotic. So we should give up our freedoms and rights for peace and safety, which is very similar to how we govern later in life. In an interview with the book's editor, Ms. Collins stated that when writing it, she was inspired by the enlightened thinkers Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau, and made sure to inject their thinkings into her characters, like Gaul and Snow sharing Hobbes' view. She said Locke had a gentler view of humanity. He wrote that men living according to reason is properly the state of nature, but force upon the person of another another is the state of war, which is kind of what Sir James was preaching about the whole movie. Finally, she says Jean-Jacques Rousseau thought that human beings in the state of nature were motivated by amour de soi, a naturally good form of self-love or self-preservation. In the social contract, he says each of us puts his person and all his power in common under the supreme direction of the general will, and in our corporate capacity, we receive each member as an indivisible part of the whole. At home, he tells his big cousins the situation he was in, but he says that when he snuffed that nigga out, it made him feel good. After a look of concern, she tells him that while he admired his father, all she saw when she looked at him was a hateful man, and says that she doesn't want Corio to end up the same. In day 2 of the Hunger Games, they announced the death of Bobbin. For those who were listening while doing other stuff, that's the guy our MC killed. The mentors mention how weird it is that it wasn't caught on camera. Jessup's unwellness turns to rabidness, and he attacks Lucy Gray. When he has her cornered, Corey begs his mentor to send him water. She sends it, and the drone smashes into his chest, and he falls to his death. She immediately goes down to comfort him and shuts his blinds. Afterwards, she's cornered by 4 tributes. One of them whips her leg, so Snow sends a drone strike like he prime Obama. They smash into the attackers and give Big L a chance to escape. The pack gets all the bottles from the drones in a pile and make their way to the Mercy Killer. While Coral tries denting her, Lucy Gray poisons some water and puts it back into the pile while emptying the others. Lamina gets double teamed by Coral and Mizzen. She gets cut down and stabbed through the chest with a trident. They chase LG after, but she hides in a fan thing. One of them goes to drink the water, but Coral says he doesn't deserve it. After an argument, she just stabs him in the chest. She goes to drink it, but her minions inform her on some easy pickings. Since they're gone, Il Dill, the girl with tuberculosis, takes a sip from the poisoned water and just dies. At least you don't have TB no more. Check out this cool TikTok I found while researching.
Panem wasn't just hit by war and climate change. Part of how they became a dystopian nightmare is that antibiotics no longer work, at least not for everything. In Ballad, Dill, the girl from District 11, she has tuberculosis. In the book, that's what takes her out, and in the movie, she drinks water that Lucy Gray has poisoned. But either way, she clearly has TB. And the issue here is not that the capital has access to antibiotics to treat it, and they just choose not to provide it to people in the districts. That's more or less how people die of TB today. But that's not what's happening in Panem, because Snow says that even in the capital, tuberculosis can barely be managed as a chronic disease, let alone cured. That's not the case in our world. Antibiotic-resistant TB is a huge problem, but the thing that takes people out is still just lack of access to antibiotics. It's not that we can't cure it. A rich person in a rich country who gets TB can be cured. And that's the vantage point Snow is speaking from. His family doesn't have money at that point in Ballad, but he's still within the most privileged class of people in the entire country. If he's saying it can't be cured, then no amount of privilege or resources can cure it, which means that this particularly bad strain of TB, which is a highly infectious and brutal disease, that just gets to spread. They know how it works, but they can't do anything about it. And it's also not that they don't have access to antibiotics in general, because if they didn't have access to antibiotics, PETA would not have survived the 74th games. And Haymitch probably wouldn't have survived the 50th ones.
Shout out to Elle from Still from Brooklyn for that discovery. Reaper rushes to her dead body, begging her to wake up, and cries in pain. Lucy shows a big deal of regret for what she just did. The big man lines up all the bodies, then rips down the Panem banner to drape it over the fallen. Then he stares up and asks if he's gonna be punished. Volumnia has the gall to interrupt his protest, informing the world that Felix, the president's son, has died due to his injuries in the bombing. She theorized that his death will only bolden them to do something crazy to the games, and says a rainbow of destruction will engulf the games, even if there's no victor. Knowing exactly what this means, Corey rips the stitches out his back and runs to Gall's office post haste. When he gets there, he says his stitches came loose, so she need to patch him up. When he's getting touched up, she shows him the Jabberjays, a failed mutation, an animal genetically modified for use by the Capitol. The snakes from earlier are mutts too. That recorded rebel conversations and played it back to them. It failed because they quickly figured out what their deal was, but Vivi wanted to know what else they can be used for. After she finishes stitching, he sneaks to where the snakes are about to be airlifted and stuffs a handkerchief with Lucy Gray's scent through an air hole. Coral and the Reef try killing her by poking through the fan, so she escapes into the vents. As Coral and Treach are about to strike, she hits him with that white stuff and puts him down for the count. The mentors are getting confused, because with Dale she had TV, so it was bound to happen, but this one doesn't make any sense. Coral smashes through the vent, causing our MC to fall through. They run away, but they stop when they see the tank of snakes get dropped down. This isn't important, but I think it's really funny how we see Lucky spit his gum and then Festus touch the back of his neck. Everyone stops breathing in anticipation for what's to come. The jar breaks and snakes flood 2 people. They overcome Reaper and he just takes it like a champ. Lucy Gray runs to the top while Coral begs for help. Before she dies, she laments that she did all of this for nothing. Since she's the last one there, Snow begs to let her out, but Gall doesn't allow it. The snakes make their way to Lucy Gray, but she starts singing, which calms them. Gall and the others notice she's not being attacked, which casts suspicions on Corey. As her song continues, the reptiles surround her, but don't bite her. When she stops, the entire audience cheers to let her out. Gall submits, making Lucy Gray the the 10th winner of the Hunger Games. The next day, he returned expecting to see his gamer girl, but instead he finds the secrets of his success. HB, hating bitch, comes out and clowns on him for getting caught, using both of his parents, his mom's powder case and his dad's napkin. He proudly announces that his family will stay poor as hell, and he'll be sent to be a peacekeeper in the districts. Then he mockingly tells him that snow has finally fallen. Then we're introduced to the final chapter, the peacekeeper. While he's being processed, he's told that he'll be sent to 8, but pays extra to get sent to 12. And they cut off his hair! I actually don't mind this look. On the train to the districts, he hears a familiar voice. Wake up! Surge came with him! After the stunt he pulled, his daddy had to pay a lot for him just to graduate. He wanted to make a difference, so he followed Snow and volunteered with the end goal of becoming a medic. Anus asked why he got sent there, since they never told him what he did. Corio just says that he saved LG from the snakes, completely omitting the poison. He asked if they killed her, and his chum replies that there's no way they'd kill a star like her. The future president of Panem playfully overshares that he was gonna kill himself. Serjanus tells him that he's got so much more to live for than he thinks, and that his life has just begun. That goes to the people watching this too. Even if you don't think so, you're loved, and have people that care about you. The world really wouldn't be the same place without you. At the barracks, the new batch is trained on how to act and what to say, and that if they don't report rebel behavior, they're just as bad. Next scene shows an execution. 2 miners were shot dead, and that nigga did it. A girl from the crowd runs in yelling that he's innocent. He begs her to run right before he gets murdered. All this commotion causes the Mockingjays to flee and repeat his last words. The girl gets taken by peacekeepers, and Surge would have stepped in if his paladin stopped him. They visit her cell, where she's still yelling, and the plinth said that she doesn't deserve to be there. Corey tells him to stop being a bitch and come on! After what they witness, the sergeant gives them leave passes to boost morale. They go to a tavern that the Covey performs at, and they bring out Lucy Gray Baird! She greets the crowd with all that charisma and the charm that we know her for. She sings the protest song she sang earlier, and her ex-man, Billy Tope, a former Covey, comes in interrupting them. His new team tells him not to play with them, and he pushes her hard as hell, turning the crowd against him. A giant fight breaks out, and the bastard tries grabbing LG. Corio jumps to her defense and pounds on him. Surge, using his anus sense, drags him out before the other peacekeepers show up. The next day, he finds her singing alone by a tree. She tells him that Highbottom personally sent her back home and gave her some money. He also told her about how he killed Bobbin while saving Surge. She laments on what she had to do in the games, and he reassures her, telling her that she's not a killer, but she immediately claps back on that. He tells her that she don't gotta worry about that anymore, and they finally share a passionate kiss. Her homegirl warns her about incoming peacekeepers, and he says that they can't be seen together, so she informs him on a secret Covey spot before she leaves. When he gets back to town, he spots Surge with Billy and another guy plotting some. He greets him like nothing happened, and he instantly presses him. The dark-haired fellow says that they deserve help, but Snow says fuck that! They lost the war they started. They deserve to burn in a lake of fire. We owe them nothing. Crazy how he thinking like that, but lusting after a girl like Lucy Gray. It's giving far-right BF and queer left GF. On his days off, he chills and plays with Covey. They bask in the sun while discussing the ballad she's named after, Lucy Gray. Although based off a real poem, the author of the book, Suzanne Collins, remixed it to better fit the story. In her version, a young girl named Lucy Gray goes missing in a snowstorm while her family looks for her. As they give up hope, it's reinstated in them when they see her footprints. They follow it pretty far until they stop. The ballad ends, hinting that homegirl might be alive. When What's-His-Nuts asked about the ending, LG says it's supposed to be a mystery. She asks if he'd go back to the capital if he had the chance, and he says hell yeah! But he'd love to bring her with him, except she sang twice this movie about how she would hate to be amongst people like them and how she'd never want to leave. He says that he liked it because it was civilized and had order. Miss Baird gets real defensive, asking if the Hunger Games are really civilized. Then she asks if this life is really so bad, living off the land, waking up whenever you please. I mean, compared to skipping meals and repurposing parts of your bathroom for clothes, that sounds pretty nice. It's like those guys that make less than 30K a year worrying about taxing billionaires because they think they'll be one day. You won't! A kid breaks the tension and hands Big L a swamp potato root. When he asks what it's called, she calls it Katniss. She talks about how that kid misses Billy Tope. Corey asks if she does, to which she replies she hasn't for a while, mainly because she can't trust him, and if she can't trust somebody, they're dead to her. They declare that they can trust each other. When he gets back to the barracks, he's dragged to the sergeant's office. He asks that if his aptitude tests were stellar and he comes from a good family, then what the devil is he doing here? Snow plainly says that he made an enemy in the capital. Sergeant Hoff tells him that he's sending him to District 2 to earn some real dough, and the train leaves in 10 days. He chats with his big cuz, and she's shocked when he learns that his locks got chopped off. She informs him that although they're fine, her and Grandmam had to move out. She proudly states that he's gonna come back soon and make everything right, and she jokingly says, don't make me hope. Later, once again, he catches Serge doing something sus, chatting with the lady that got took. While examining the Jabberjays, Corey confronts him, telling him to stop helping rebels. Serjanus turns it on him, telling him that he was just doing what he suggested, making a difference. Hoff tells him that they're gonna execute the girl Lil, just cause she knows the nigga that got killed, and that they're gonna spring her. Corey activates the Jabberjays, and he explains more of his plan. He begs him not to do this cause he fears that he'll be hanged just for knowing him, and he says he don't want to rescue him again. Serge tells him that he'll be fine. Corey designates the J to Gall and ships it off to her. Later that night, in the club, he enjoys the song LG sings for him, and sees Serge walking off, so he follows him. Lucy sees Snow, sees Serge, and now she gets sus. He catches him arguing with Billy Tope and Mayfair Lip next to a crate full of guns. The plinth says that he didn't know they were gonna do all that, and then someone else, Spruce, comes from the shadows with a gun drawn on Snow. While he tries to defuse the situation, Lucy Gray walks in and tensions rise. Billy tries calming things, saying that she's part of the plan, and his new team gets offended and confused at this blindside and threatens to expose all of them for all this. Then she says she's a woman of her word as she reminds Lucy Gray that she sent her ass to the Capitol. Billy Tope stops Spruce from shooting her, so Snow picks up a gun and does it himself, bro. What? He comforts her, saying that no one's gonna know it was them. And Billy says, "You not about to pin this on me?" He charges towards the couple and Spruce shoots him down. Corey tells her that she has to get back on that stage and act like nothing happened. Serjanus has a serious mental breakdown and says it's all his fault, and for once they agree on something. Snow tells Spruce to get rid of all the guns and tells Serge to stop being a bitch and come on! Then he actually comforts him, saying that they're brothers and that he'll keep them safe no matter what. The next day, they learn that the news spread that the mayor's daughter and her man got shot, and now they're looking for the guns. Hoff vows to find the guns and hang the killers as they bust down every door. He sees Lucy Gray hiding, and she says that she's the #1 suspect because both her ops died on the same night. Then she says she's leaving Pan Am, and he tells her he'll follow, because no matter where they go, this will still be over his head. They plan on meeting at the hanging tree before he goes back in the public, and sees they caught Spruce. Later, Hoff claims that they caught Serge over Jabberjay talking about his plans to break Lil out. So they gon' hang him, her, and Spruce. They blast the recording that Corey took, then kill them all. He begs for his mom before he died, and just like before, the Jays repeat that back to the crowd. When he gets back to his bed, he sees a pic of him and Serjanus and breaks down crying. The next morning, he sneaks out to meet Lucy Gray, and they end up pretty far out the district. They talk about what they'll miss and what they won't miss. And Corey says he won't miss people. Big L are nurture over nature kind of gal, and says that everyone's born good, and that their circumstances shape them either for better or for worse, which I really agree with. She hopes for no more bloodshed up north. He agrees, saying that 3 bodies are plenty for him, which freaks her out, cause to her knowledge, he only killed 2, Bobbins and Mary, not knowing that Serge is one of them. Either way, he's being dishonest, which breaks her biggest rule for relationships: trust. When she asks, he says it was his old self, which she clearly sees as bullshit. They get to a cabin, and she says that there's fishing rods under the floorboards. When he checks, he finds the murder weapon. She points out that if she gets rid of them, he can go back to the Capitol, and asks him if he will. He nods and claims that he wants to get rid of all loose ends. She knows that she's the only one, and promises not to tell. In this moment, they're on the verge of living the life she talked about, but he quickly turns on it the moment he gets a chance. The snake behavior heightens tensions in the room, so she makes up an excuse about leaving. He gets ready to dispose of the evidence, but starts to look for his love. Earlier in the movie, he gave her a scarf that her mom wore. Now he sees it on the ground in the forest. He picks it up and a snake bit his bitch ass. He shouts for Lucy Gray to no response. He starts to cry and crash out before he turns his head and sees his lover running from afar. He ends up shooting and hitting her, although when he gets closer, she's gone. He follows her footprints, but they just stop. He hears her singing, but the mockingjays just repeated all around it, flooding his senses. Defeated, he takes his sorry ass back to the cabin and gets rid of all the guns. He somehow makes it back on base without any fuss and looks through Serge's trunk. As he tells his sergeant goodbye to fuck off to District 2, he tells him that he's being sent somewhere else. He visits Gall in her laboratory, and she says that she asked the president to grant him a full pardon while he works under her for now. When he tells her that he can't afford it, she informs him that Serge's daddy covering the cost of everything he needs for being such a good friend to his son. She praising him for backdooring his only friend for her, and says that because him and Lucy Gray revolutionized the Hunger Games, the president is doing it again next year too. With his newfound experience, she asks him once again what the Hunger Games are for. He tells her that they're necessary to show humanity what they really are. She welcomes him back with open arms. Months later, in a spiffy crib, rocking a new fuck-ass hairdo, he greets his sister, who tells him he looks exactly like his father. He visits Highbottom and gives him Serge's trunk. He says that the Hunger Game changed him for the better and thanks him for creating him. HB gives a crazy lore drop when he says that he made him up as a joke when he was drunk. He thought, how crazy would it be, like, as a punishment if we did all this fuck shit? When he got sober, he was gonna destroy them. But Corey's father, his bestie, put him and Highbottom's name on it and gave it to Gall. So being a shitty friend just runs in the family, I guess. He says that he tried morphine, the Hunger Game opioids, as he watched the first tribute fall. He claims to have done everything to try and stop the games, like being an asshole to Cory and gently suggesting that they shouldn't do them. And he blames Cory for the countless generations of blood that will be spilled. He asks what happened to his songbird, because apparently she went missing. He claims to not know. He congratulates him on basically claiming the plinth fortune with a bright future. All Coriolanus can say in response is Snow lands on top. As he leaves, Highbottom spots a morphling and instantly takes a hit. Unfortunately, this high will take him to heaven, cause Cory poisoned that hoe. The movie ends with our main character looking up at the Statue of Panama, this country's perverted sense of justice. 33 people died in this movie. With a runtime of 157 minutes, that leaves us with a kill on average every 4 minutes and 45 seconds. Platinum Pistol gotta go to Mayfair, because it was just such an insane moment when I first watched it. Like, I didn't know anything about the Hunger Games, and I was just thinking, man, this Cory guy seems cool as hell. And this felt like a completely not so out of nowhere heel turn. I loved it. For a pea shooter, gotta go to the snake food tributes. The snakes are the real winners, yo. I thought it was so lame how Gaul blew up the games way before its time. Hall of Fame will go to Lucy Gray Baird. She was just such a great character from start to finish. I know she would be fun as hell to hang out with, and she burst into song whenever. The way her story ended heavily mirrored her namesake poem, which I really liked. Hall of Shame will have to go to Coriolanus Snow. I can't believe he backdoored his only friend like that. Cheating in the games is kind of justifiable, I guess, but his actions after that? Nah. Treating the district folk like that, even though they're like in the same tax bracket, and switching up on Lucy Gray the second it became opportune for him, fuck out of here. They keep saying that he looks like his father, and it shows that he even acts like him. Continuing that cyclical snake theme. That was the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm working on the first Hunger Games movie right now. I'll try to get it out quickly without it being rushed. Au revoir.